Supreme Darkness has been out for a minute, and it doesn't feel like Goblin Bikers have been doing any better post Supreme Darkness. So like it doesn't feel like the A-Bal line makes Goblin Biker a more viable deck. But with the new year came the fact that Ryzeal players got better at playing their deck, and more of them were playing Fiendsmith variants, more of them were using cards like Numday, and with the release of Blue-Eyes, it's just more decks in the format. So it's not really clear if Goblin Biker is still the best call for this format. But what is clear is that, you know, it's still a pretty fun deck, and it's still a good deck. Like, you can still get far with this. I got a 3rd place at locals last time I went, and even before that I almost got top 8. I was like 10th 11th place. I almost got top 8 for an invite to nationals with this list as well. So I've been having a lot of fun with Goblin Biker. So I figured it's like, you know, I show so many combos and stuff with the deck, it would be good for me to actually show how I play the deck. So our very first hand, right? We kind of brick. Even though we're going first, we kind of brick. If they have 0 hand traps, I guess Lurie is something of a full combo. But it seems like they're going first, so we hit them with the Fuelos on the Ice Ryzeal. And it's funny, we're playing Ryzeal in our very first matchup, right? So what the mistake I've seen Ryzeal players, like, and this is going to be the difference between like a good Ryzeal player and a bad Ryzeal player, is like how hard they play into Fuelos. Like, if Ryzeal gets Fuelos, they should just go Detonator Pass. Like, they shouldn't complicate it anything more than that, because if they do, then they're opening up the chance of losing to non-engine a lot more than if they just go Detonator Pass and then just keep their follow-up in hand for next turn. So they're going into Sword, grabbing Axed, going into Axed, and then making a format Detonator so that we get to basically Pot of Greed off of our Fuelos. So they use the effect to attach Aggregator. I did decide to Veiler it, since there's no point of holding the Veiler, I guess, for next turn, because there's really no sense, and it probably wouldn't work in follow-up anyway if Detonator was still on the field. So he's gonna set 2 pass. And this hand kind of got unbricked, right? So we got Gonwad, we got Doug. So I'm gonna start with Doug here in an attempt to trigger his detonator, right? And so he decided to keep it on field, right? I mean, it has 3 materials. You're not gonna sack it just because of a Doug Charger. So Doug Charger's gonna search, detonator's gonna pop it. I'm gonna let that happen. I'm not gonna droplet it yet because I don't know what his face downs are. So we're gonna go into entrance. We're gonna go entrance, right? And we're gonna detach 1 more to summon out Merciless. And I don't care too much if he pops Merciless because I have Clatter Splitter in hand. Splitter gets me back to Doug. Now we get the big Gabonga. Now I did accidentally normal summon Doug Charger here because I thought I could use its effect again. I'm like, oh yeah, search Doug uses effect, and then I was, oh shit, that's how I started the turn. I should have normal summoned Gone Wild, but I don't think it's gonna make that much of a difference here. We're gonna use entrance to detach to add another Doug Charger to hand, I guess, yeah. And then Gabonga's gonna trigger to swallow the detonator, and yeah, they just surrender right there. Pretty much assuming that they didn't have anything else, and this is like the worst deck to put multiple Exceed materials on a detonator on. So next game, they're going first, right? Now we don't draw that much non-engine, so with the duo drive here, we're gonna Ash Blossom it. They're gonna look at our hand. Wait, are they gonna look at our hand? Or are they gonna draw 2? Oh, yeah, they do look at our hand and put back the Doug Charger, which may make this a little more complicated or difficult. So they go Ice into Node, go to Detonator, and then pass turn. What's his materials? He went X Sword, Ice Node. Yeah. Did he not have any other Ryzeal monsters in his hand? I guess they would have been searched off the duo drive, so I guess it was only Ice left, and that's what he used to make the detonator. I don't think it was a good idea to use the node here, though. I think he could have summoned like another Ryzeal monster. Alright, so I draw the Fuelos here, which is literally fucking useless. But I'm staring down. 2 pops off detonator and potential, you know, hand traps as well. So we're gonna start with Mean Merciless and attempt to special them out Gone Wild because, you know, if they pop Mean Merciless for whatever reason, then it could punish the detonator. They just don't do anything, I guess, right? I win against Ryzeal as I should have. Now we keep going. And Kashtira. This is a deck that's really annoying to face off against because they don't play into non-engine, or they don't play into hand traps that hard. And when that's the case, if the deck doesn't play into hand traps and we're not going first, it's very difficult for us to play against the deck. That's why Blue-Eyes can be awkward for us as well, because Blue-Eyes doesn't play into hand traps as well unless it's like Ghost Ogre. I guess Ogre would be good against this deck, but that's assuming that they don't draw the Shifter. So they got Theosis, and they have Shifter here too, which is crazy. They're like, oh yeah, I forgot to activate the best card in the game right now. Like, crazy. And I'm like, yes. Keep summoning monsters, right? And he makes Ryzeal level 7. I'm like, yes, he's gonna go for something stupid. He goes Burf. He normal summons out the Ogre, right, to add the Kashtira trap card. He sets and then he passes. I'm like, fuck. It is like just one summon too little. And with not being able to activate Nibiru here, it's like I can't play through this that well, right? Because like even if I go like, okay, a normal summon Exploder here, I don't think this was correct. I think I should have summoned out Doug, because I don't know what's the point of me summoning Exploder here. Now I think about it, why didn't I just summon out Doug? Like, that would have been infinitely better, because... Oh, maybe I was trying to play out the Shifter turn, but I could have at least did a line that went like Doug, okay, unres, banish face down, or banish Doug face down, and then we go Talents to attempt to... Yeah, Fiendsmith wouldn't work here. It was a tough situation. I think it wasn't correct to go Clatter, but there was also nothing else I could have. I don't think Doug could have won me this game because I couldn't summon Typhon, and once he saw my action deck, he probably would have hit the Zeus there. So I don't think that would have been a good call either. So I think he just switches everything to attack mode. Yeah, and I kind of forgot this thing can attack and defense, so that's pretty much just game there. Yeah. So now next game, I did put Lancia in here just because I felt Lancia was a good way to just stop them from like hitting my cards during their turn. It's not the best card to put in, and I did put in Ghost Ogres as well. As you can see, I put in multiple Ghost Ogres. So they have Valor on my Lacrima, which I don't think is correct at all, but I'm gonna let him do what he wants to do and don't get hit by Trolled. Also, Valor and Kashtira is weird, right? Like, this just sucks if you draw Shifter. So go Track for Lurie. So we go Requiem. So I go for the 2 level 6s here, and he doesn't have anything, so I'm assuming he doesn't have Nib, because why would you hold the Nib unless you had like Nib Imperm, I guess. And then it makes Sequence, and then as soon as I try to resolve Sequence, hits it with the Ghost Pointer. Okay, that's fair, right? So I go Engraver here, and yeah, I don't really have a good card to like put in this scenario. Where the fuck is Unicorn L's at? That's funny. Yeah, I don't really have a good card to like slap in this scenario, so I kind of just end on these. Yeah, we just keep playing. So we can go Lacrima here. To Mill the Paradise. Unfortunately, this is it's just not going to do anything because fucking Kashtiras are just fucking stupid. He just summoned another one. You Ogre it, but he has to Burf. I believe Ogre's hard once per turn, so I can't stop the Burf either. And he just had another fucking Fenrir too. And yeah, I was able to stop him from banishing face down, which is kind of relevant because being able to keep like Lacrima in rotation and Engraver in rotation could be impactful for the grind game, but it's like, fuck man, just a single Engraver and a fucking dream at this point. So yeah, he goes Shangra Eater during standby phase to bring out the Unicorn, and yeah, one of his unicorns was a material. If I could have detached it or something and could have gotten him to banish the unicorn, that could have been cool. But the fact that this is still sitting like right here means there's very little I can do with these cards. Because Right Soph was going to pop my Engraver, and I can't play with just a single Engraver in graveyard. Like, I just can't. So he Unicorn banishes my Requiem, which is, you know, good call. I go Engraver here. Sequence attach, send the Shangra Era. Go Crazy Beast. And we overlay into Zeus. We set one pass. We go Lacrima, summon back Sequence, just because we can. But we don't have the Light Fiends to make another fusion. But we do open track for turn. Now, I can't make Requiem. I probably should have made Aerial Leader here, because Aerial Leader would have been able to go into Abao. The only issue being that I don't have any cards to discard for Abao, so that kind of makes it a tough cookie to crack. And I couldn't really go for game because Crazy Beast was still under Zeus. So I only hit him for so much. One for Moon. Shuffle back, make Aerial Leader. And then he hits me with like the sickest nib, which feels bad, man. And at this point, I think I should have summoned back this Crazy Beast, because I feel like that could have been a good way for me to come back, or at least keep something on field so that I'm not like completely screwed. So he has Ash Blossom, he makes Lizardos, he draws one, he goes Right Soph, he goes Unicorn, I go Called by Target Unicorn, he chains Scare Cash, which is crazy. So he searches, that is not Glare Beast comeback, what the fuck is that? Kashtira Birth. Some reason had the Heart of the Glare Beast card. And yeah, with that, he just had way too much. O2 against Kashtira. That Nib was kind of crazy. Definitely didn't see it coming. I mean, trying to play around Nib that late in the game, I probably could have done it better if I would have been able to just go straight into Desiree and then just like swing, and then Desiree equip. But because he got rid of the Requiem, that was difficult for me to do without playing into the Nibiru. So he was able to nib me and then slowly take back the game state, because fucking Scare Cash like quick effect is kind of fucking stupid. I believe that's what got him this game. And yeah, because even if I would have like waited, or even if I would have hit the Unicorn as soon as I saw him activate Right Soph, he still would have been able to chain Scare Cash to it, because he just had it in his hand. So this was like the ultimate like fucking top deck. Or maybe it was Right Soph, but that was the top deck and he just had the Sydney in his hand. Okay, so new game. Just staring down Magical Meltdown, and I'm like, okay, this has to be something really stupid. But I can't risk them making a Mechaba when all I have is Engraver plus Doug Charger, so I decided to go for the Ash Blossom. And they had Alistair anyway, you know. And then they went straight for Spirit, and I'm like, fuck, Blue-Eyes fucking invoked, like that's the Blue-Eyes matchup for Goblin Biker is already like not that great. Fortunately, they really didn't set up much else, and I drew Imperm for turn, because as good as Spirit is, it doesn't set up everything. Like, you still need to draw the actual Blue-Eyes engine, and if you're not opening Sage or Wishes on top of the Alistair, then there isn't much you can do. Even though my Ash Blossom was basically worthless, he would have easily played through this Ash with the hand he had. So Imperm on the Mechaba, I drew it for turn. So I go Engraver to go Tract, and I get hit with the Draw and Lockbird. Probably should have went for Sanct, like that's literally what Sanct is for. And this just like, I don't know if this gives him the game, because it probably does. I just go Typhon, slap back the Mechaba, attempt to swing over Blue-Eyes, get fucking sacked by Majesty. He opens another Alistair. Spirit. Summons another Blue-Eyes and then Invocation, and I just scoop right there because, yeah. Not grabbing the Sanct there. And Sanct is in my list. I just literally just did not grab it there. So, you know, we sided in the Ghost Ogres. We drew the Crash out for turn. So this time it seems like he kind of bricked because he went straight for Roar, and then summoned Neo Kaiser. So Kaiser's, and then he manipulated his level for whatever reason, which I'm like, what? Why would you even do that? You can just link off, right? So then he links off into Spirit. Kaiser's gonna trigger to mill. And this is what I don't understand, is why didn't he mill Maiden here? Because why would he mill another Blue-Eyes? Like, that doesn't make fucking sense. Like, that's what the field spell is for. Oh, I went first and I didn't even set anything? Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think with this hand, I think it's okay not to summon anything. Alright. So I go set Breakout, set another, set Ash. Because, yeah, like, regardless of what I do, I lose to a single interruption. If I try to go Breakout, like, I lose to an Ash Blossom, I lose to an Imperm. So it's better to try to wait until I can, like, weaken his board. So he goes True Light. He attempts to True Light. I have the Ogre for it. Clears his front row. He goes Wishes. Goes Maiden. And so before he can like start bomboing off, I go Breakout for Gonmob. He gets hit with Imperm. I draw for turn. I get the Tract. He goes Droll, which is fine. Go Requiem, Engraver. And then he goes Ultimate Fusion after I get into the Crazy Beast, which is fine. Tyrant isn't a big deal to me. Because, yeah, I was going to swallow the set card. So, yeah, Ultimate Fusion there. It was either do or die. And then I try to go Battle Phase. He goes Summon Blue-Eyes, Summon Maiden. I make the Zeus, clear the field. Crazy Beast come back. And this is pretty awesome because now it's like Crazy Beast has one and Zeus has one. So if I need to use Crazy Beast again, I can. We link off into sequence. Yeah, never mind about the Crazy Beast. And then we sequence equip. And I set the talents just to like fake an Imperm, right? He goes evenly. I'm like, that's fine. So why did I keep Desiree over Crazy Beast? That's a really good question that I'm not entirely sure the answer. Because I think Crazy Beast would have been the better card to keep, right? just in rotation, just because of my engine and because I have Breakout in Graveyard, I think keeping Desiree here was incorrect. But like Desiree does link off into Requiem, so I get better follow-up if I keep Desiree. But I didn't need follow-up. Like this dude's only at 2,500. So keeping Crazy Beast would have did the same thing, except would have been safer into like a grind game scenario. Okay, yeah. So this is the final duel against Blue-Eyes. He opens Meltdown. I droll him on that so that he can't search his Invocation. So he hits me for Roar and then passes turn, which, you know, feels great. In a situation like this where I feel like droll hurts him a lot more, like especially since he started with Meltdown, I feel like the droll was the good choice there, because Flulos drawing, you know, maybe I could have gotten 2 cards if he would have went or decided to commit fully into the Spirit line. Maybe 3 cards if he decided to go Mechaba, but that would assume that if he committed to it. Like if he had enough non-engine, he could have just stopped right there, right? Like that's literally what he did. He just went Roar and then stopped. I feel like maybe Droll was the right call here. Or maybe Foolos would have been the right call. I don't know, because now I can't use Foolos for the rest of the game, so maybe Foolos would have been the right call. So normal summon Doug, it gets ashed. Nothing I can do about that, so we just set 1 pass. Now this is going to be really good, because if I drop with the Doug Charger and then I drop Foolos after, because Drop will no longer be on the field, I still get to play with the Foolos, so I'll be alright. Now he hits me with the most Mickey, like, surprise fucking Gateway to Chaos I've ever fucking seen. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I get that you play Magia probably or something and you just needed like a Chaos Ritual monster, but this is like the weirdest way to play it, because you're already playing Invoked. Anyway, normal summon Alistair. I go Droplet on him, and then on Res I do Foolos. He still commits to the Link Summon, which I appreciate, because that just means it's going to be easier for me to do what I need to do. So he goes Wishes, second normal to get Sage, Maiden to get True Light, Spirit Dragon. Now he's still summoning these Blue-Eyes in defense, and these are quick effects, so they can use them during battle phase. Like, he could have easily just 25-25, Tribute 1, summon Ultimate, attack per game if he really wanted to, but for some reason he kept these in defense, which I don't fully understand, but I'm gonna let him do his thing. Like, literally there was nothing stopping him from going for a game right there, I don't think. So anyway, now he goes Ultimate Spirit Dragon, other one to go Crimson into starter Cypher. So this turn I'm just start out with the Sploder. So one thing I didn't fucking realize is that this doesn't destroy the card that activated, it destroys any card on field on res. So it negates the monster effect and it destroys a card on field, so I can't dodge it with anything. So it would have been better for me to just save my fucking Breakout, but it is what it is, right? Because now it's like both Splitter is negated and Gone Wild is destroyed, right? And I scoop right there. I think it was time actually, because I don't think I should have scooped, right? Because I had talents. So time ran out, right? Because I was thinking too hard about like, which one do I prioritize more? Do I talents to take, or do I thrust into tracked? Because both of those would have been good lines, and I would have been able to get back into Gone Wild if I would have gotten the thrust into tracked. But that means I wouldn't have been able to use talents. But yeah, he had a really strong setup, and as I mentioned, he could have won the turn before, so yes it is. Okay, so new set, looks like they win the die roll. They go Scrap Recycler, I go Imperm. Alright, they link off into Clockwork Knight and then activate Tracked. Now this is interesting. This seems to be some kind of, I saw a theory of an Earth Machine deck that was using Recycler, Clockwork, and Fiendsmith in the list just to make Caesar before, you know, so they can be protected before they do their whole combo. I'm not too sure why they would tract after summoning Scrap Recycler, because I believe Scrap Recycler is a full combo on its own. It tributes one machine monster, so you're not going to be able to resolve its effect. You can't make Requiem because this thing's arrow doesn't point the right way, so I'm not sure what's going to happen here. I do hit him with the Droll just in case. Oh, I guess he just goes straight into Moon using his Lurie, but that was a waste of Clockwork Knight, like literally. And then he goes Requiem, Requiem into Engraver, Requiem equip, make Necro Clip, go Caesar, and then pass turn, which is great for me because literally like 2 Exceed materials, even though like he technically does beat Entrance, I'm still gonna attempt to resolve it just to see if he can, just to get rid of the materials. So he detaches to negate. Now I do Talents to take, right? So he's gonna chain, I take his Caesar, right? So now I can play with my Fiendsmith stuff, like unchallenged. So he goes Engraver, or I mean I go Engraver, he goes Ash. I'm like, alright. Normal some Lacrima. Lacrima Mill. I guess oh yeah, I don't play Paradise game 1. Don't know why I milled Track though. I could have just milled another Engraver. And they just surrender here. So, game 2, I open double Fuelos on them. And they start with like Makita redeployment. I'm like, what is going on? So they go Gear Frame, they search Fortress. They summon Fortress by dropping Citadel, you know, fair game. They go Lurie, they go Requiem, I draw one, and then on the activation of Requiem, I drop a second Fuelos, which is just like, please stop playing, please stop summoning monsters, please. And I draw 2, and they keep playing. They keep summoning from the extra deck. And then they try to thrust me while I have like 8 cards in hand. Over 8 actually, I have like 9 cards in hand. They try to thrust me. I'm like, I'm not letting that shit go through. And I even had the Meows as well. Because, you know, I saw they were on Fiendsmith, so I figured Meows could probably get me like an upstart Goblin or something at least. So I go Meows. So I go Meows to start turn, and they chain Lacrima, which, you know, fair game. They probably won't summon from the graveyard again, so it was just to bait out the Lacrima early, you could say. So they Requiem, Lacrima, and then I go Droplet for all their monsters. Then we got Grand Entrance, and they just scoop there. That definitely would have been game, because, you know, being able to swallow those 2 Exceed materials and start swallowing monsters with Gone Wild and Kabanga would have made this a way too strong for them to deal with. So that was pretty fun. But I figured I didn't want to end it against a deck that was that casual, so I decided to go for one last hurrah. And it's like Dogmatika. It's like, fuck, dude. I could have ashed this Nadir Servant, and I was thinking, that's probably not worth it. I can just ash whatever they search. But then I'm really just, or I could like Veil or whatever they search. Now I'm really thinking about it. It's like, it doesn't mill for cost, so I definitely should have Ash Blossomed this. Like, without a doubt. But, yeah. Let me go for Duality. Look, they reveal motherfucking TC Boo, Necro Valley, and Evenly Matched. And they took the TC Boo to hand. And TC Boo doesn't hurt me too much. Then they go Ecclesia, I go Veiler on it. They set 3, pass turn. So I know at least one of the sets is TC Bow, which I'm not too worried about. I just know that I can't go Gone Wild into Mean Merciless, because that wouldn't work. I start Gone Wild, summon out Doug effect, they chain TC Bow. I'm like, cool. I go battle phase. I just swing over the Ecclesia, and then they try to crack down on my Gone Wild. I'm like, no thank you. Then they solemn my Breakout as if it was that serious. I'm like, okay, you got it, go ahead. So they go Duality, I'm gonna chain my Ash Blossom. They go Prosperity, and I'm like, okay, fuck me then, I guess. They grab a Statue of Drought, and they pass turn. I normal summon Lacrima, I mill one. Now clearly I can't get rid of this Drought until I swing over it, so I attempt to go battle phase. Link off into, or attempt to link off into IP. I get Solemned again on IP, which is kind of crazy, but let him cook. Put Engraver on the field just so that, I don't know, I have something on field, I guess. Normal summon out the Doug Charger. Tribute, summon Merciless, and then overlay into Big Gabonga since they're all different types. And then he goes Crackdown to take my Gabonga, which I'm not the biggest fan of. But I go Doug Charger, steal it, and because of Crackdown, it can't activate its effect, so I don't have to worry about him attempting to use my effect. I can just use his materials for free. And then swing into it, you know, hit it with the Droplet in a damage step, and then smack him for game because he didn't have enough life points left. So we're going into game 2, and he resolves one of the most interesting cards probably I've ever seen, right? Decisive Battle of Golgonda, right? And it becomes the spring into field spell in field or in graveyard, and then if a monster you control would be destroyed by a card effect, you can send a fusion monster dimensions fallen battle buys as material from extra deck to the graveyard instead. Even though it's only once per turn, mixed with the right extra deck, this could be kind of crazy, right? Because think about how many times you could protect a monster from destruction if you mill that many times, right? And then during end phase, if you have fallen battle buys under field in your graveyard, you can special mode spring its monster from your hand or deck. Very weird spring and support, but that's what it is, right? I don't know why it's in this deck, or I didn't know why it was in this deck until, you know, I started playing. So it's start Engraver, right? Doesn't do anything. Activate Tract, playing around the Imperm columns, even though it kind of doesn't matter in this matchup. Go Lurry, bring itself back out. Lurry into Requiem. Requiem into Lacrima. Lacrima's gonna mill us another Engraver. Make Necroquip, Engraver summon. And now they hit us with the Dogmatic Punishment. And thankfully, because punishment targets, we can chain Breakout, get rid of the target. And now, because this cannot read the attack of the target, it doesn't get to mill. So it's a pretty good counterplay. So we go Gone Wild. And they hit me with two shits at the same time. They hit me with Iron Wall plus Crackdown at the same time. And Iron Wall seems very random, right? Like, okay, like sure, you counterplayed this random Called by the Grave in my hand. Great. The Crackdown is even weirder because Crackdown doesn't stop the Gone Wild effect from resolving. It will, however, steal the monster, so, you know, I won't be able to swing at him. I normal summon Effect Veiler. I should have dropped my Called by the Grave here because of Imperial Iron Wall. For some reason, I dropped an Imperm, which was just not correct at all. I also don't know why I didn't spin back the Iron Wall. Like, yeah, Crackdown was there. Like, I mean, it did help me make Eval, but it just feels kind of insignificant. It feels like I could have played that better. So I sent one, and then I send Grand Entrance to pop Iron Wall. And what I didn't realize is that Golgonda protects any card. It doesn't just protect monsters, it protects anything on your field. So this is the ultimate stall card. Like, this is the ultimate floodgate protector, which is crazy, right? And then because I didn't read his card, because I definitely should have shuffled this thing back with Nightmare Unicorn if I realized it protected any card. Now he gets to go resolve his fucking Dogmatika cards. So now he gets Ecclesia. I can't do anything about it. Now it's his turn. I attempt to go Lacrima, summon out Requiem. A Requiem for Lacrima. And then he goes Entis. I Lacrima mill Saint. Because Sanct, if a Fiendsmith I control is destroyed, it gets to reset itself. So. And yeah, because of Entis. Oh yeah, and because of Iron Wall, Abao cannot banish itself to resummon. So I couldn't like chain Abao to leave field to play around the Entis because Iron Wall was on field. So it was a surprisingly, surprisingly the interaction came up. So yeah, that was crazy. Now he goes Ecclesia. I hit it with Imperm. There we go, Battle Phase. And I still feel stupid for not discarding this called by. I open Ash Blossom for turn. I just Engraver, summon back. Make Requiem, Engraver, summon back again. Requiem equip. Attack into 1. He protects it again, which I'm like, fuck. He has 12 cards in his extra deck. How many times is he going to be able to do this? And then Dogmatika punishments for my Engraver. Thankfully, I'm able to activate Sync, so I'm not taking big amounts of damage. Because now this is more about a grind game. So he activates Necro Valley. I'm going to chain Lacrima here just so I can have something in rotation. But sadly, all my Engravers are in graveyard now. So here's the funny thing, right? So Necro Valley doesn't stop you from activating the effect that moves cards out of the graveyard. Because Engraver is cost, he can slowly put the other cards in the engine back into the deck and technically play through Necro Valley. So it is kind of cool. So in theory, like next turn, I could put back Requiem, activate Sanct, summon a token, tribute token, link 1 into Requiem, and then tribute Requiem, summon out another Engraver. Now, I won't be able to equip Engraver with anything because fucking Necro Valley would negate anything activating Graveyard, but it's still just a funny interaction that, because Necro Valley has been errated so much, this card has had so many different effects throughout the years, that the current version of it, Fiendsmith does kind of still work with, despite being a graveyard strategy. So now they open False Dyna, and this is where I think, shit, I'm cooked, right? Because they normal summon False Dyna, so that means now like my Sanct is useless. So now they go hit me for 27, and I know there's just one card in my deck that can potentially do something here. And I guess Doug Charger is one of them. So I normal summon out the Doug, get the effect. I'm going to search to break out even though it's not useful here. And I even stopped attacking because I'm like, wait a minute. This is just going to get him more resources next turn. I mean, let me see that graveyard, right? He's only gone through 2 Ecclesias. There's possibly a 3rd Titaniclad in his extra deck. So this could be very, very tough for me. But he just doesn't have anything else, so he just switches his monster to defense mode. And I drew a Gone Wild. I'm like, okay, that's progress. So I normal summon Gone Wild since I only control goblins. And I just go start hitting him for small bits of damage. He does mill his 3rd Titaniclad. I know he can't use it the way he would like to because of Falso Dyna. And this is kind of hurting him too, because now this means he can't summon Ecclesia from deck during end phase. He has to add it from deck to hand. And something really interesting happened here, right? I attacked 1, attacked 2. He let the Ecclesia die. I don't know if he just doesn't have any more targets for Golgonda, but he just let Ecclesia get destroyed, which is very interesting. So he goes set 1 pass. So now I'm like, wait a minute. Is this free chicken? And now I attack into Falso Dyna. He just lets it get destroyed. I mean, that's crazy. And then he cracks down on the direct attack in which I have a breakout to summon another Gone Wild. Gone Wild's gonna summon Doug. I definitely, well, I can't say I definitely should have summoned Clatter Splitter because Necro Valley would have made Clatter Splitter a bad card to summon here. But yeah, it's good because I was able to go for another 1600 here. And sadly, because Gone Wild was summoned off a breakout, it can't attack directly, so he gets one more turn to play, right? And I have Ash, I have Nib, I'm feeling kind of good about myself. We overlay into Gabanga. Grab Mean Merciless, go Moon. Because we used Gone Wild as a link material, it triggered to steal Necro Valley as an Exceed material, so now Necro Valley is under Gabanga. And now we just get to play with Fiendsmith. Make sequence, and then we're going to sequence make Desiree, and that should be the game because there's no way they're playing through Desiree plus that. Very tedious game, which could have lasted a whole lot longer if Golconda was still active. Like if he had more Golconda targets in his extra deck and he just kept protecting his Falsadina, this could have been a very long and crazy game. It just wasn't the case. And it did make me think, like, man, like, Sol decks in 2025 are, like, built different. This isn't even, like, some kind of runic stun or anything. This is just pure Dogmatika Stun with some of the, like, the sleaziest cards, like, you could think of. So I kind of respect it, but it's also kind of like, yeah, it's at the end of the day, it is still just, like, a don't play Yu-Gi-Oh deck, so you can only respect it so much. I've had a lot of fun playing with Goblin Biker Fiendsmith. I still think the deck is very flawed and in a lot of ways. As you can see, we've even, like, to cut down on the list, we've even taken out Terratop. I kept drawing Takatomborg one too many times. We're at 42 here. We're at close to 21 non-engine. You could take out the double Veiler or the double Droll. They don't tickle your fancy. You could also swap around the ratios of the Perulia and the Meows. I guess Perulia is better because Meows is really only for Malice. And Malice is our hardest matchup, so you can keep Meows in here. But Fluelos also helps into Malice as well, so it's not like you only have one Will Charming for them. But Perulia is good into a lot, because Perulia is still good into Blue-Eyes, because you go +2, and then Ogre is good into Blue-Eyes as well, and not so much into Ryzeal. Like, if you can use it on Dual Drive, then it's great, but that's about it. Or Cross, I guess, but they'd have to cross-activate the effect to Shuffle, because the effect on to negate doesn't start a chain, so... in terms of the list, I don't miss the second Gabanga because that's the thing about Goblin Biker now. It's like the way that you have to play Goblin Biker Fiendsmith to make it the most optimal deck is to just really cut back on the Goblin Biker side of things. Meaning, like, sure, we can play double Clatter Splitter because it gives us a better grind game, but we're just not going to see Gabanga as often. More often than not, you're playing with Crazy Beast. I do like Crazy Beast into Zeus. I do think that's a good line. I always preach Typhon in this deck because it's a one-card Exceed material. Exceed monster. Aerial Leader's still here because it's the best line to go Engraver into A-Bow. And Nightmare Unicorn's here because it's either this or Agnumde. And I like the idea of this card better because it can help you through certain scenarios. But Agnumde, although you won't really use Agnumde as much, because as you can see, which this, I'd even address this. I kind of just went straight into the video. This probably is going to piss some people off seeing Desiree on the side, but you never make Desiree. You always go either Caesar or you go sequence into Aerial Leader. You never make Desiree. I'm sorry, you just don't. You could argue that I don't need Moon or Underworld Goddess game one, but this helps against things like Chaos Angel and Towers. So this has a use where arguably Desiree is only here for game 2, like when I'm worried about board breakers, game 2, game 3. So that's why we keep Desiree in the side deck, because I never respect board breakers game 1. It just doesn't seem correct. Other than that, and yeah, this is the list I've been playing IRL as well. I've had a lot of fun with it. And I didn't want to make too much more Goblin content, like with Duke of Demise and stuff, because I'm a little worried about the ban list. and what it might do to Fiendsmith. So before I fully commit to making combo videos for Dogmatika and other engine pieces like that, I want to see what the ban list has to say, and then I'll worry about it. Now, will the ban list be out soon? I don't know. I mean, I would have assumed it would have came out already before Mace of the Master, but sadly it didn't. And now Ryzeal is just running rampant as like a tier 0 choice. It's basically tier 0 choice. So I don't know what Konami's waiting for, but they need to release that list soon. Otherwise, this game is going to suck more than it already does. All right, let me know if you guys have any questions or comments about my list or about the way that I play goblins. I've been playing the deck for a while. This isn't my favorite way to play the deck. It almost feels detached because half your games you're playing with only Fiendsmith engine and, you know, maybe like a single drawn breakout to bridge you between engines in case you get stopped at something. But it just doesn't feel as fun as Tour Guide and Terror Top and the Exceed monster kind of deck. Now it's kind of like your Link monsters outnumber your Exceeds, and I'm not feeling it as much as I used to. I'm hoping that if they get rid of Moon, then that'll force us to go back to a more rank 3 package, because then we'll have to rely on Melody to make Requiem, assuming Requiem sticks around and Moon doesn't on the next CCG list. Please take this card out of the game, please. And you can take Exciton Knight with it. I think Moon and Exciton Knight are perfectly fair calls, short of banning Requiem itself. I think though those are perfectly fair calls. Now, if you ban Requiem itself, then you don't need to hit these two, I guess.